In 1939, Paul F. Robinson was deeply affected when he heard about the tragic death of Violet Heron. A missionary in Bolivia, Violet had died giving birth after a 5-day journey by boat and ox cart to the nearest mission hospital. Her widowed husband, Walter, believed Violet's life might have been saved with the aid of an airplane. At the time, Robinson was pastoring a church in western New York, where he served with his wife, Lillian. The story of Violet Heron's tragic passing spurred him to start taking flying lessons. He hoped to someday serve in Brazil, where the need was great. 4 days after Robinson's first solo flight, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and the United States entered World War II. Robinson promptly joined Civil Air Patrol. By the end of the war, he was 35, and the mission boards where he applied said he was too old to serve. "My plans, which I thought were God's plans, were dashed," Robinson said. But he couldn't get the need for missionary pilots out of his head. He wrote, "I was helping Lillian dry dishes one evening when the whole panorama of an aviation training program unfolded in my mind. I dropped the towel, went to the desk, and began to write. I wrote most of the night and all the next day, until I thought I had it. Now, all he needed to give his plan wings was a school, and Moody Bible Institute was his top choice." Robinson submitted his proposal during Founders Week in 1946. By May, Moody had launched a flight program. It started with a dozen students, 2 Piper airplanes, and Robinson as the sole instructor. Initially, students took classes in biblical studies on Moody's campus and did flight training in rented space at Elmhurst Airport. When Elmhurst closed 4 years later, Moody Aviation moved to another Chicago area location, Wooddale Airport, eventually purchasing the 90-acre facility. As Moody Aviation grew, Robinson faced a crossroads when President Houghton called a meeting in 1948. With representatives from Mission Aviation Fellowship and JARS in attendance, Moody's leadership sought to establish whether Moody was really advancing the cause of missionary aviation. Robinson said we had to decide whether we would be a professional or amateur program. We had 2 choices, quit or go all the way with a professional maintenance and pilot training school. Moody chose to go all in. Not satisfied with producing pilots who simply had the right credentials, Moody emphasized a standard of proficiency. Soon students were logging 300 flight hours, far exceeding the FAA's requirements for commercial pilot certification. By 1967, the growth of O'Hare Airport, just 3 miles from Wooddale, caused safety concerns for Moody Aviation. Robinson started searching for a new location within a 500-mile radius of Chicago. More than 90 cities offered their facilities, eager for the business that Moody Aviation's 22-plane fleet would bring. Robinson was careful in his selection. The new location for Moody Aviation had to offer the kind of varied landscape, rugged terrain, and challenging weather needed to prepare skilled jungle pilots. Located at the base of the Smoky Mountains, Elizabethton, Tennessee was exactly 500 miles away from Chicago. With a beautiful airport and ideal weather and terrain, Betsy became Moody Aviation's new home in 1967. While Robinson remained in Chicago to oversee the admissions program, Chief Flight Instructor Dirk Van Dam became director of Moody Aviation. Moody Aviation continued to grow and thrive, gaining recognition from the Tennessee Governor Winfield Dunn, the FAA, and the Chicago Tribune, which described Moody Aviation as one of the most comprehensive and exacting training programs anywhere. In 2003, due to financial challenges, Moody Aviation transitioned to Felts Field Airport in Spokane, Washington, where the school is located to this day. Through an effort to minimize costs to students and provide experienced instructional staff, Moody Aviation now partners with missionary organizations like Africa Inland Mission, Ethnos 360, JARS Wycliffe, Mission Aviation Fellowship, and Proclaim Aviation. These ministries loan their aviation instructors who raise their own support, while Moody supplies them with graduates. Today, students spend 5 years studying for a Bachelor of Science in Missionary Aviation Technology, with an emphasis in flight or maintenance. Year 1 is dedicated to biblical, theological, and general studies, and then 1.5 years of maintenance training, when students become power plant and airframe mechanics. During the final 2.5 years, Bible training continues for all students, and maintenance specialists take a deep dive into aircraft rebuild and inspections, engine and component overhaul, and avionics installation, all while gaining experience and leadership skills. Pilot mechanics become full-fledged private, instrument, and commercial pilots, with special emphasis in mountain navigation and unimproved airstrip operations. Each graduate of Moody Aviation represents the fulfillment of Paul Robinson's vision to serve God through aviation technology. Since its founding in 1946, nearly 1,000 students have graduated from Moody Aviation as pilots, maintenance specialists, and avionics technicians. 73% of graduates have served with over 110 missionary organizations, accounting for nearly 50% of MEF and JARS pilots and mechanics. Moody Aviation graduates have served in more than 60 countries around the world. These dedicated men and women make possible the work of Bible translation, church planting, disaster relief, emergency aid, and transportation to the most remote regions of the world.
Moody Aviation exists to equip missionaries with the tools of aviation to take the gospel around the world to impact people who are otherwise unreached. Our core purpose is to train and equip young men and women with a heart for the gospel, who are mechanically or technically inclined to use their gifts and abilities to build Christ's kingdom. For the last 75 years, Moody Aviation has been involved specifically in the business of training missionary aviators. Our founder, Paul Robinson, established Moody Aviation in 1946 in partnership with the Moody Bible Institute of Chicago. He had a vision to take his passion for international missions, his love for God's Word, and love for people with his joy of flying, to be able to combine the tools of aviation with the gospel to be able to impact the world for Christ. Moody Aviation is the world's longest running missionary aviation training school, dedicated solely for that purpose. And for the last 75 years, we've been partnering with missions to tailor our program to meet the needs of equipping missionary aviators for the ever-changing dynamics of our world. It's a joy to see and work with the students that come into our program each and every day. And the thing that keeps me coming back all the time is to see the life transformation that takes place in the lives of our students from the time they enter to the time that they leave and are launched into the world to impact the world for Christ. It's our passion to equip young men and women with the heart of the gospel, with vision, passion, and purpose to be able to serve our King with joy and gladness.
Retiring in 1975, Robinson once noted that his dream of becoming a missionary pilot would have culminated in a single aviator offering limited services in Brazil. Instead, he said, there are now hundreds of missionary pilots all over the world. It's clear God knows what He's doing.